Good evening and salutations, my Jade fans. I don't even know what to make of this episode. But let's start off with Joss and Dex. She had to pick between three options. It took her 40 something minutes to decide on which avenue she wanted to go. Either turn Sunny in, run, like him just going on a run, him just leaving. I can't even remember the third option. But I just remember them literally sitting there with her literally sitting there deciding between those three options. And I'm looking at this whole thing and I'm like, when she said that, Sonny was pretty much a stepdad from when she was born. The thing that's just making this story so wild to me, so stupid in a lot of ways, is that, you know, she's only sitting there seeing the bad stuff that Sonny has done. All the other stuff that Sonny has done for her and her mother since Jump, it's like all that stuff just got erased. All of it. And she can only see the last, few years of what's happened. Oh, Sonny beat you and, he pretty much tossed away his family. I mean, she didn't say that, but that's some of the stuff that she's seeing. And I feel like it's one of those things where it's like she justifies Dex going after Sonny because no one is forcing Sonny to break the law. This is what she has going to so-called have a clear conscience. Because let's be honest, no one's all good and no one's all bad. Sonny isn't perfect, but there was a lot of love that Sonny used to sit there and do it for his family, and still does. I mean, yeah, people break up, relationships fall apart. It happens all the time. But I, for her to not to really sit there and consider that longer and just be like, oh yeah, just throw him in jail, whatever, long as we're together. I feel like that's what it really came down to. It wasn't even so much like she hates Sonny, but and in a lot of ways, I felt like her decision was just heavily influenced on the fact that, well, I mean, if Sonny's in jail, then we can sit there and continue knocking boots. So, yeah, just be careful. I feel like that's what it came down to more. I mean, granted, the other stuff that I was saying is definitely true as well, but I feel like that's a factor as well. Um, Heather is, she's still sitting there trying to play victim. Oh, Ryan made me do it, and she starts confessing to, the crimes that she did as the hook killer, and in the hopes of being able to see Esme. So she talks about all of it. Brando, the phone burner guy, the guy who sold Esme the phone, and some other people. Oh, she also said that she took out, and I could be wrong, but she took out the person that made the venom for her, or that supplied the venom for her. But she confesses all to that. I did it. I did all of that. But Ryan was the caught behind a lot of stuff, and I was afraid of him, and blah 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 blah. So it's a lot of half truths. What it really comes down to. But they do grant her towards the end of the episode, her wish to see Esme. Now, as far as Esme is concerned, in this episode, for the most part, she was still freaked out that her parents are psychopaths, and at one point she was like, maybe the baby shouldn't be around me. Because, I may be crazy as well. I may be dangerous as well. She had dreams, she had a nightmare about Heather, and I started writing Because I'm just like, this is not really making a lot of sense, but screw it. Let's just keep going with this. As far as Heather just walking in the room and just being all buddy buddy and stuff like that, I'm just like, how did she just walk in here? But of course, when I really stopped to think about it, of course, it was a dream. Um, Other than the vague and forgettable conversation that she had with Laura, when Matt came in there and she was telling her side of everything that happened with the escape, with Heather and Ryan, she did call the baby Ace. And she was like, I don't know where that came from, but it just made sense. And right then and there, I was like, her memory is going to start to slowly come back. I mean, you can already see Liz being torn up about her decision and how she, okay, so there's a part that really does irritate me with Liz and Cam, as far as Liz telling Cam, oh, you got to give her another chance. Y'all two been friends for a while and y'all grew up together and, you can't, you're just going to end it like that. And I'm like, yeah, boo. And there was one point she was like, oh, it could have been an accident. Oh, it could have been an accident. She just, I'm not going to sit there and get crass with this review, but the fact that she said that, oh, it could have just been an accident, it's just, it irritated me. And granted, this was more of her projecting, okay? This is more of her projecting the fact that she made a mistake and you gotta sit there and deal with the consequences and just tell the truth and hope for the best. And there's one point where Cameron's like, are we talking about Joss or are we talking about you? You know? Because as far as I'm looking at the whole situation with Joss and Cam, Joss pretty much treated Cam like a toilet seat. Okay? So the fact that his mother was just like, oh, y'all should still be friends one day, and this, that, and the third. And I'm like, oh, okay. And granted, by the way, I don't even think that I don't even think that he told her. He didn't tell her that she cheated on him. He just said that they broke up, but not the cheating part. And of course, you can't sit there and talk about the cheating part without talking about Dex. And I feel like if she knew about the cheating part, then she might have been a little more hesitant as far as, oh, y'all should sit there and be friends, and you can't sit there and cut out of your life. I felt like if she would have probably knew more about that, then her energy would have been a lot different. Now she does get a call from Scott because Scott is trying to do his willing and dealing thing with Robert as far as, oh, I have a client that can give you, some more information about the hooker attacks and stuff like that. And long story short, um, she does come in to the police station with Scott. So just on a side note, before I forget, saw the previews of Curtis and Jordan, and I'm just wondering, is he going to go harder on Jordan than he did on Portia? I'm gonna be honest. I feel like he's gonna come at her with the same low tone energy. Now, him coming at her with that type of energy would make sense. She's not the full, like he should definitely be more mad at Portia than Jordan. But I feel like he's gonna come at them in the exact same way, and I'm just like, how are they writing this for? Like, how are they writing this? Like, I expect more yelling and screaming and emotions than whatever the hell he was spent there doing. I don't know. Sonny is hanging out with Spencer, looking at Spencer's new brother and stuff. And at some point, Ava comes in. Now, the Ava was spent there talking to Mac, and Mac asking questions as far as, oh, what was Austin doing there? When are y'all friends? And this, that, and the third. And I'm just like, and she didn't really. I mean, she gave some sort of cover story as far as Austin treating her and them being somewhat friends or whatever. But Ava came to Spencer, and Ava told Spencer about Esme and Ryan's plan and everything like that. And Spencer felt bad. He felt like, all this stuff that Esme did and Ryan did, you know, all this stuff that was set in motion, and now Nicholas leaving, he feels responsible. He feels responsible as far as all that. And maybe even his brother being fatherless because of that. Now, Sonny and Laura talked, and I'm going to be honest, it didn't really seem like it went anywhere, except for the fact that when Sonny was like, "Oh yeah, Heather, she killed my cousin, that's a big mistake or whatever," and Laura was like, "Oh, let the justice system do its job," and I'm like, because the justice system has worked out so well, right? And I get it. She's the mayor. She has to sit there and say stuff like that. She can't be like, "Oh yeah, I get it. You gotta take care of her or whatever." But I'm like, bro, don't give me that whole justice. You know, always prevails. Given what I'm saying, like given how long she's been on the show, the adventures that she's had, come on, let's not even sit there and say something as cliche and well as much of a cliche and stupid um as that is. I tried to make up a word and it clearly did not work out. And I think I said this in the beginning of the episode or the review, is that towards the end, Esme and Heather um are gonna sit there and reunite again. I feel like that's about it. Honestly, to tell you the truth, I know as an overall arc of the story that is definitely going to start to pick up. But when I do these reviews and I watch these episodes, I have to judge them on the individual episode itself. And as far as the Friday episode is concerned, it was definitely a letdown. It was definitely a letdown. Like I said in the beginning of this review, I was like, what was I even watching? The only thing that was remotely interesting was oddly the Joss and Dex stuff. And even then, I'm not a huge fan of Joss. So the rest of this episode just felt so flat and kind of, I don't want to sit there and say all over the place, but very uninteresting, I would sit there and say. I think that's the best word that I can sit there and describe this episode is that it was just definitely uninteresting. This is the type of episode that, if you're watching it, you can do laundry, you can do dishes, you can fold your clothes, you can sit there and do that just to keep yourself in the loop. But, yeah. Now, what I will sit there and say is that there are definitely going to be some interesting stuff that's going to be happening in this, throughout this story down the line. I will sit there and say that much. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video, next live stream, which is gonna be tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. I feel like I missed a couple of things in this episode. I mean, granted, this episode wasn't that great to begin with, but I felt like I missed a couple of things. So if I did, we'll sit there and chop it up in tonight's live stream. Yeah. So thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.